I did on a little Christmas village house. Um, Unfortunately, I didn't catch myself recording this. I don't know how, but I painted the whole thing black with acrylic paint, and I thought it turned out super cute. Before it was just it was Christmas village style, so it was like the reds and the greens and the white. It was this grand hotel kind of thing. And so I thought it was cute, and I think that the Grand Hotel was a really good option for me to kind of have that base of a haunted house, right? One thing I did have to do before everything was I had to actually, hot glue the like little, I don't know what they're called, but spires at the top. So I had to hot glue some of the little spiders at the top there, and I also decided that I wanted to hot glue like some of the different elements I had. So you'll notice like I hot glued like boards across the windows, and then there were wreaths on top of like some of the windows, and I did not want it to read Christmassy, obviously, so I put like a big dollop on top of it, and I thought that it would be a really good idea to basically make it a spider, right? Also, a problem that I had that I didn't think about at first was there was a bunch of snow that was supposed to be covering the roof. So I instead decided to make it all red, as if like the blood was dripping from the house. I thought it turned out pretty cute, and I did go over it a little bit with some Poscas instead of just my red acrylic, because it did turn out a little bit patchy at first. So that was me just figuring that all out. I then found my Jen Crafts acrylic paints, and I was going through trying to figure out what colors were best going to go with this. Now, I didn't want it to be too Halloween, so like bright purples, bright oranges, and so I decided I wanted to go with a dark Halloween vibe. So that's where I went over, and I went and found a Dip Van Dyke brown, and I just went over all of my little boards that I had basically, and I tried to cover those up. I wasn't really happy with the color there, and I did go over with both of my grabby acrylic paint marker as well as my Poscas, and I was happy with how it turned out in the end, but it did take a while. One thing I had a really big problem with was the amount of hot glue strings that were left over, and I was really not pleased with how those were all kind of clouding everything. I do think it worked out in the end. It kind of made it look more like, I don't know, like there were speeders around, So one thing I wanted to do is I wanted to use my purple grabby pens, and I wanted to use them as my like base for all the windows, the doors that we're seeing. I do think this was a little too bright in the end, but I do think it did need some brightness, because after I had done all of like the little patches of black and brown and gray on there just wasn't enough color payout to make it noticeable against the black background of the house that I had made itself. So I am glad I went over and I had that more bright purple. I think the bright purple really helped out. And again, I had those stupid little strings left over. And I also really wanted to go back over all of browns. I thought that the browns were just not really great. I do think that having that little patch was super helpful for me to just kind of make sure that all of my markers were working, making sure that everything was turning out okay. And I think that it did turn out pretty cute in the end with all of that. But I was really happy with like some of the reds, the reddish browns that I was able to kind of get in the like brick of the black. I do think that the reddish browns did turn out super cute, and I was really pleased with how that looked as well. Yeah, so this is just me going over all of those like little lines. I do think that if I had used a thicker marker, it would have probably been done a little bit sooner. Yeah, I was really happy that I was able to do this project. I do think that it turned out really cute, and you'll see in the end what I mean. But this Christmas village was actually from my grandma. So my grandma, she currently has dementia, and so she was moved to like an apartment where she could be seen and looked after a bit more. But she had a ton of these Christmas villages in her house. And I remember when she was in her old house, when my grandpa was still alive, that she would have like 20 or so Christmas villages up. And I know that me and my cousin, we would go and we would play with the little ceramic dolls that they had. And we would go over and we would like have the dolls interact with each other. There was one that always had like a little broken hand, and it was really fun to kind of play dolls with them. I will say it was funny because a couple of the villages definitely weren't to scale with the others. So this one was supposed to be more of one that didn't have like the people inside of it, obviously. And people inside of the other ones, they were pretty big compared to the people that you could buy for outside. And so there would always be a very interesting scale issue. And so we would kind of talk about like all of the little things. This is when I grabbed my Poscas and I wanted to have a really bright red. I knew that it was going to dry a little duller. And I was really pleased with how that turned out. So I had like a really bright red, and I was able to do some details of like the lights, and there was I don't know what it's called on a house, but it's like the metal part that you like stick under, but it had like a little heart and everything, and I actually liked how that turned out, and I wasn't mad about keeping it in the overall makeover. I thought that it was fun. I will say I was really unhappy with how light the brown was in the Poscas there, so I did go back over them and I did kind of darken them up in order to make that good. This is where I was using my gray in order to try to show the spiders. I do think from far away it looks like it does look like spiders, but up close it really doesn't look like spiders, and that's a little sad. But I mean, like, what can you do, right? I can't really, unless I actually like sculpted out with like, I don't really think I could have gotten that benefit. I know that's really silly. I did really use that gray a lot in order to get kind of like the little designs of the house. I do think that that really turned out adorable, and I was really happy with how my little details did turn out. I did want to use the red just kind of to go over some of the bricks and to show like the grout of them all. I do think that the red did really pop out everything, and I do think it really turned out super cute too. So I was really pleased with how that all worked out in the end. Yeah, see, like I do think with like the little bit of red that I put, it was so great. But yeah, so it turned out so beautiful. I went back over it. I did some little Mod Podge, and I was so happy with it at the end. What do you think? Have a good one. Bye.